Okay guys, welcome back. Today I am out in my shop. This is just my little new building. You guys have seen it before in a little update video. We're not completely boxed in yet. I still got this here and then the actual front wall to finish boxing off. But today is the first day and probably the last day for a while that's going to be warm enough that I can do any brick and mortar work. So today I'm doing the new forge. Now I wanted to show you guys how I did this and give you a few pointers on it on how to do it yourself. Now all I did, guys, was I took down here, you can see the framework. This is all just some scrap 2x4s I had left over. Built a small box, figured out my width, built a small box. I poured concrete, just plain old concrete, a while back. Now when the concrete had been poured, it had a little bit of a gravel base to it, I took these cinder blocks and just stacked them up. They're just stacked up, is all they are, guys. Nothing fancy about it. So they all got stacked up. Now if you guys know, a standard cinder block has two holes in it. Inside each hole, as they lined up, I just drove a piece of rebar. So there's a piece of steel rebar that I had just scrapped laying around in my pile that'll run from about here, and it goes all the way down to the ground to pin this thing to the ground. Then I went through and in the front, all the front chambers, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 front chambers, got backfilled with extra concrete. Once that's set up, I also went to the back and I backfilled the back ones mostly with gravel, but I left about yay much and capped it off with just some mortar. Now when I'm talking mortar, guys, I'm talking about just your pre-mix. You can buy Quikrete, you can buy whatever brand you want, but the big trick here is to separate your ash out of your forge. What you do is you take the actual ash, the coal ash, and I just used a wire strainer, kitchen basket wire strainer, and once I had that rolling, just over a 5-gallon bucket, would just scoop out once I'd clean out the fire pit, I'd save all that stuff, and I got all my ash out that way. Now ash serves a couple purposes for a blacksmith, and you guys have seen me use it before for annealing, but this is the other purpose. You can mix it in with your mortar, and it makes a real cheap refractory cement. Now it's not the best refractory cement, but it's a cheap refractory cement. Now on the top here, we've got 2 courses of brick and the mortar. Now this mortar's already been set up. I set it up back right before we got our first real cold snap here in St. Louis. So this was already set up and cured and ready to go. I didn't bother cleaning it up. I don't care how pretty this looks. I just want it to work. But yet again, I used that ash mixture in with my mortar mix, my dry mortar mix, mixed it up real good, and then added the water to start setting it up. Now I'm not the world's best mason. I got a couple bricks that are off level, and I think I actually did this in the dark, so I don't expect it to look pretty. But the real trick to this, though, guys, is this. This is fire brick, and I picked these up at Brannicky Hardware. It's a True Value branch of hardware, just a locally owned franchise. The fire brick, you can get these, you can get them there. I don't know about Home Depot or Lowe's. I don't believe they carry them. But you can get it at, any place that deals with wood-burning stoves. This is usually the brick that's laid underneath a wood-burning stove. Now they're the exact same size as standard bricks, up there a little wider. So what I did was I took more of that mortar, and I just got a good bed in here, and then I just laid these bricks in on a 45-degree angle, leaving a little thin lip channel here. Okay? Now this is already kind of set up. Even though it's a little cold out, it's about 32 degrees, 32 degrees. It's still warm enough to do this work. What you do is you add a little extra lime, hydrated lime, into your mix, and it will set up better in cold weather. Because believe it or not, my pit here, my concrete and mason bucket, was just steaming. Steam was just rolling off. The chemical reaction for the concrete and mortar does heat up enough to cause it to set and cure even in cold weather. But we're going to give it a little helping hand here today. So we've got this. Well, then what you get is this stuff. We're not going to worry about the name brand, but it would help if I showed you guys the English side. This is a high temp stove and furnace cement, gray in color. Caution, it is an irritant. It resists temperatures up to 1482 degrees Celsius or 2700 degrees Fahrenheit. This is known as refractory cement. This is crucibles for melting. This is what you make it out of, is this stuff here. Okay guys, okay guys, back to the forge here. You can see I've laid that putty up, and basically refractory cement will work like a putty. But I've laid it up where the exposed brick is to the fire pan. So it's all in here, and it's all along here, and all along that back wall there. Reason I'm doing that is standard clay brick is not designed for the temperatures for forging that we need. I've even seen just plain old homemade barbecue grills burn up and the brick just start to crumble because they were used in that situation. And I've tried using pavers, I've tried using cinder block, I've tried using concrete, I've used mortar, I've done all kinds of stuff, and unless I do that ash mortar or this, it tends to just fall apart after a while. You'll have an entire wall just fall off in your fire pot. And with the fire brick, the hope here is that it'll reflect some of the heat back into itself as it's burning, and that will enable me to get a much hotter fire with a lot less airflow. Now when this stuff on the package, it says it's an irritant, and they are not kidding. This is not your standard hydrated lime mortar. This stuff will get into your skin, and it'll burn, and it'll itch, and it'll dry your hands out, and it's just nasty stuff. So wear gloves, and wear a pair of gloves you can just pitch. And also wear waterproof gloves. Just a pair of cloth jerseys ain't going to cut it. Now here I want you guys to see my new airflow. This little guy right here. Little tiny thing. It's made by Dayton. Get that to focus a little better. I got this from Grainger Supply. I don't remember the catalog part number, but if you just look up their blowers on the catalog, this one's 40 bucks. If you've got a Grainger Supply anywhere near you, you can call them. Even if you're not a business, they will have it shipped to the store, so you can go pick it up under will call. So one nice thing about Grainger. Now, this piece actually fits 1-inch black standard pipe. It just fits right in there. Now, it's not real tight, but that is enough for what we're using. Now, I'm going to use two different air delivery systems here. First one is this guy. It goes from 1 inch on a reducer down to 3/4. Then from the 3/4, you just take a 3/4 flange to a 1/2 inch adapter. That goes in. Then it goes to this guy. Now this is just 2 elbows. I've got one plug here and then a plug down here at the end. What I can do is with this, when it's all put together nice and neat, now my air delivery can come up. I can have a very small focus centralized pot. I can set it up like a stump forge if I pull this plug out and plug this, or I can take this open and have a slightly larger fire. So you can see the advantages there. But also, the other reason I'm setting it up like this is for this reason here. I can then, hold on, let me set this camera down, guys. Take that end off and go to this piece of pipe. Now this piece of pipe, put on a separate flange. right there, and you just put a butt cap on it. Then you take this over to your vise. See, this will actually fit back. It's the same fitting I used, so it'll go right back into that air fitting. But you'll take this over to your vise, set your vise up so the vise doesn't quite grip it. Set it in there. Draw you a line all the way down center, and about once every inch to half inch or 3/4 inch, somewhere in there, you're going to drill a hole. Doesn't have to be a big hole, just drill a hole. 1/4 inch hole at the biggest, but then you need to be that big. That turns this, when it lays into the fire, go back over here, this will lay in the fire like this. And you can see, you've now got a trough forge. You've got a dead end over here for longer stock or whatever, but you just turn this into a trough forge. That's why I went with this V shape, was all my pipe will just lay right in there. If I want to set this thing up as a stump forge, I can. If I want to set, however I want to set it up, that's how I can do it. I don't have to be restricted to just one forge, and with a minimal of setup between this and this piece, this being my primary that goes into the the blower every time, I now have a very versatile forge. So hope that gives you guys a little idea there. Now on this cement, since it is kind of cold out, and I know that particular product, we are going to light a little fire in this and help that cure up. Now you don't want the fire to get real hot, just standard wood fire, light it, just burn off some extra. I got some scab construction material around here I need to get rid of anyway. That'll help me do that. But otherwise, guys, that's it. That's the new forge. You can see where everything's kind of moving along here. Someone's going to ask, so I'll go ahead and say it. This was extra mortar and concrete and gravel and brick pieces. They all got chucked in there. Reason I did this was I poured it up here, so if a piece of hot metal or a spark pops, hits the building and lands, it won't catch my grass on fire and catch my building on fire. Plus I got a place if I got to just drop a piece of hot metal real quick, I can. I've also got a new slack tub, and I think it'll fit in there just perfect. So I'll have a new slack tub fitting right here, just boom. So I got a quench right there by the forge. Then anvil will go there. Post vise will be right about there in that little patch of snowless area once I get it all set up. But otherwise, guys, that's about it. So I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for your views and support and comments, and keep on hammering.